From millions of dollars worth of gold coins to ancient cities, here are 8 amazing things discovered by divers. Number 8. Ghost Fleet of Truk Lagoon. Located in Micronesia, Truk Lagoon, also known as Chuuk Lagoon, is home to one of the world's largest ship graveyards from World War II. In an attack known as Operation Hailstone, the Allies launched a surprise attack on one of Japan's largest naval bases for 3 days. Over 60 Japanese ships were sunk, along with 275 airplanes, and many of the wrecks are perfectly intact. Thousands of Japanese sailors lost their lives and still remain in their watery graves. It was later rediscovered in 1980 by diver Klaus Lindemann. For the most part, people left the wrecks untouched, as they were said to be haunted. Also because there are thousands of sunken bombs. The ships were full of cargo, including aircraft, weapons, tanks, bulldozers, railway cars, torpedoes, and all kinds of other artifacts. It is now a protected area and a tropical paradise full of ocean life. This legally protected underwater museum is open to divers, and you can swim around the sunken submarines, but be careful not to wake the dead. Among the wreckage, you can see a perfectly upright tank, as well as 2 oddly placed gas masks. Its popularity has grown, and it is now considered one of the top wreck diving destinations in the world. You can go on a 7-day chartered trip for $3,195. Number 7. The Baltic Sea Anomaly. In 2011, the Swedish Ocean X diving team was looking for a shipwreck in the Baltic Sea. While they were searching, a strange object appeared on their sonar. Fun fact, the Ocean X team are treasure hunters who specialize in looking for expensive antique alcohol lost at sea. They claim their blurry sonar image shows a circular object that measures about 60 meters across with features that look like ramps and stairways. Most scientists disagree and say that it is just a geological formation, but since the news broke, many people believe that the object is a sunken UFO. Absolutely no one knows what this is, and the guesses range from an ancient submarine of sorts to an alien vessel. Some of the explorers claim that their electrical equipment started to fail as they got near the object. What might be the oddest part about all of this, though, is that when you look at the ship from above, it looks like something very familiar, something from a galaxy far, far away, the Millennium Falcon. There have been many artistic representations of the object, but the actual real image is very unclear. Supposedly, samples of the site were taken by Ocean X and given to geology professors at Stockholm University. They determined the formation was made up of mostly granite, sandstone, and some volcanic rock, and was most likely deposited there by a glacier thousands of years ago. Number 6. Loki's Castle. Loki's Castle is a hydrothermal vent system located between Greenland and Norway at a depth of about 2,352 meters. These vents bring up heat from the center of the Earth and are home to dozens of deep-sea creatures, many of which we are now just learning about. This place has 5 active chimneys that spew water as hot as 300 degrees Celsius. Discovered by a scientific expedition in 2005, the vents were found using a remote-controlled robotic vehicle. The shape of the vents reminded the discoverers of a fantasy castle, so what better name than Loki's Castle? Loki was a god in Norse mythology who was the wily trickster god and the god of fire. Just as fascinating as the field of vents is the fact that divers have found 20 new species of critters living around them. Researchers have found several organisms that they declare are missing links in our evolutionary history. It is possible that life on Earth began near ocean vents like Loki's Castle, and this may be the case for finding life on other planets. The government of Norway is so intrigued by this castle that they're trying to see if they can open up an underwater national park where people could go down and explore the field and the castle. I would go. Would you go? And now for number 5. But first, have you subscribed yet? If you're new here, be sure to hit that subscribe button and join us. We have lots of new videos coming up. Number 5. The Lost City of Dwarka. There are many lost cities in the world, and in Hindu mythology, one of the biggest and most important was the lost city of Dwarka. The city was built by Lord Krishna, and he loved it so much that he decided to live there. Modern-day Dwarka, or Dwarka, was believed to be built nearby or on top of the ancient city. The first clear historical record of the lost city was from 574 AD. It is believed that the ancient city was submerged by the sea around 6 times, and modern-day Dwarka is the 7th time it has been rebuilt. Based on historical records and excavations, a team of underwater archaeologists and the Indian Navy teamed up to survey the west coast of the country, where they found the ruins of Dwarka. They found sunken structural remains and objects dating back to 3000 BC. For many, this city underwater is proof that Dwarka was real, and it may have indeed been made by Lord Krishna. What other legends might be real? This could just be a diver's paradise because not only are there ruins of an ancient city, but the area is also famous for its whale sharks, sea turtles, coral, and sandy beaches. Number 4. The Mariana Trench. We know more about the surface of Mars than the deep sea, and numerous divers have tried to discover what lies at the bottom. The discovery of the Mariana Trench in 1875 opened up a whole new world for us. Challenger Deep is in the southern end of the Mariana Trench, and it is the deepest part of the trench, estimated to be about 10,994 meters. By comparison, Mount Everest stands at 29,026 feet above sea level, meaning the deepest part of the Mariana Trench is 7,044 feet deeper than Everest is tall. The Mariana Trench is dark, and the temperatures are just a little above freezing. You might think that nothing could survive in this deep, dark underworld, but you would be wrong. In fact, a whole ecosystem lies within this trench, and the organisms have adapted to resist 1,000 times the pressure of that at sea level. In 1960, the first and only people to ever go into the Challenger Deep were two men named Jacques Piccard and Navy Lieutenant Don Walsh. They went down in a U.S. Navy submersible, and it took them 5 hours to descend. After all that, they were only able to spend about 20 minutes down there, but their journey would change our understanding of the ocean and the Earth forever. However, more recently in 2012, legendary director James Cameron broke the record and became the first person to reach the 11-kilometer deep valley on a solo trip. He took recording and scientific equipment with him that the duo from the 60s could have only dreamt about. If you haven't seen his documentary yet, be sure to watch James Cameron's Deep Sea Challenge 3D when you get the chance. Number 3. The Lost Continent of Mu. While Atlantis may be the most famous lost underwater civilization, it's hardly the only one, as you know by now. One of the other famous ones is the Lost Continent of Mu. This is believed by some to have been an actual continent in the Pacific Ocean that was sunk after some terrible natural disaster. Like Atlantis, it was a land made of technologically advanced people. Scientists state that there never was a lost continent called Mu, since it would be physically impossible for an entire continent to disappear in such a short amount of time. In 1987, a diver named Kihachiro Aratake came upon a very strange rock formation. As he explored, he believed that they were actually architectural structures, proof of a city that had been swallowed by the sea. Aratake dove just 20 feet deep into the water off of Yonaguni Island near Japan. He describes it as being terraced into the side of a mountain. Some formations went 100 feet below sea level and rose 80 feet up, which seems to indicate that it wasn't natural, especially when you consider that it has a 250-foot base. If you've seen any of my other videos by now, you know that this is entirely up for debate. Most scientists argue that these are natural rock formations and are the same kind found above the surface along the coast. But, you know, we all like a good story, and some have gone as far as to say that it is proof of the lost continent of Mu. In any case, it is still a popular place to go diving because it is a great area to see sharks. And you know how much I love talking about sharks. Number 2. The S.S Central America. The S.S Central America sank off the coast of Carolina in 1857 when it ran smack into a hurricane. While that may sound common, the cargo was not. It was full of tons and tons of gold, literally. 130 years later, in 1987, researchers had the technology to map and explore the sea floor, and that meant that finding shipwrecks got a whole lot easier. A research scientist named Thomas G. Thompson got tons of investors to help him finance his dive in search for the treasure. You'll want to remember his name, but not for the reasons you might think. His robot vehicle Nemo brought up more than $40 million in gold. But it turns out that American and British companies had already insured the ship's cargo over 100 years earlier, so they all decided to divide the treasure with almost all of it going to the companies. Later on, Thompson's investors slapped him with another lawsuit claiming he had never given them their share. What happened to him? The treasure hunter missed a court hearing and became a fugitive. While all the chaos was going on, Odyssey Marine Exploration was hired to professionally dive to the site. They found over 2,900 gold coins and 45 ingots, along with other artifacts and things of interest to scientists like worms that eat wood. They deserve their place in this story too. Number 1. Apollo 11 engines. Arguably, the most famous space shuttle in history was Apollo 11, which was the flight that took the first people to the moon. When it launched in 1969, many of its parts were scattered to the oceans after they detached from the main shuttle. This actually started a mini race to try and find them all. Not to be outdone by James Cameron, Jeff Bezos, the CEO of Amazon, promised to recover the F-1 engines that had powered the Saturn V rocket that blasted Apollo 11 into orbit. The engines were found 14,000 feet below sea level off the coast of Florida. Most of the parts were found using radar and remotely operated deep-sea vehicles. Jeff Bezos declared that the ocean didn't give them up easily, but thanks to his team and to some partial serial numbers that were found, they were able to conclude that they were the real lost engines. Thanks for watching! Can you believe some of these finds made by divers? Let me know your favorites in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and I'll see you soon. Bye!